Portable energized fence materials are really the tool that's made managed grazing really fly. These are the tools you need in order to make it happen. So let's just start with a few things. Let's start with wire. That's one of the big, not only expenses, but also one of the key components to making this work. The wire is going to deliver the pulse or the shocking part of the fence to the animal. Again, it's a psychological barrier. It's the shocking power of the fence that controls or manages the animal. And so we want to do a really good job of delivering that shock to the animal. And one of the key things here is quality wire. What I like to look for in wire is 7 to 9 strands of conductive material. There's everything from 3 strands of conductive material up to 9. I prefer either a steel alloy or stainless steel because of its durability. And when we get out to 7 or 9 strands, we tend not to have the resistance we have when we have small diameter wire out there. There's also copper and aluminum that are built into these things. Copper and aluminum are excellent conductors, but they're not very durable. And so what we find is the durability of those products don't hold up. Like on a lot of things in life, wire and energized fencing, you tend to get what you pay for, especially on portable energized fencing. So look for quality products that are out there. If you take care of them, they last. I personally have some wire here that's over 15 years old that I've been using season in and season out, and it's still usable. It does not handle being out in the winter very well. Cold temperatures, snow, wind, ice really degrade this stuff rapidly, as well as UV light. So it's something that's designed to be used during the grazing season. Another option for portable wire is aluminum wire. There are people using that very effectively. It's a low-cost method of doing it. And for some people that works very well. What I guess I would encourage you to stay away from is the soft steel 14 or 17 gauge steel wire. It tends to rust, it's low visibility, it's hard for the stock to see. If it kinks, it breaks. It's not very durable. It just isn't designed to be rolled up and unrolled on a frequent basis. Some people like to use the wider electrobraid type wire. It's bigger diameter than this for visibility for some animals, or the 1/2-inch poly tape is another option. This is poly tape. It's about a 1/2 inch wide. It contains conductive material just like the electroplastic twine. It gives you more visibility. It's a little more difficult to work with than the electroplastic twine, but in low visibility situations such as grazing through a brushy area, grazing in standing corn, or maybe in tall cover crops, this may be an important option or a valuable option for you. White is a good color for visibility. It shows up well against green grass in the summer. It shows up at night. I also prefer white posts. I seem to have the lowest rate of any incidences of things like white-tailed deer running through it. They tend to see it and not knock it down. In 15, 20 years of grazing, I don't think I've ever had deer take white polywire or poly tape with white posts down, but I've seen many cases where we've used some of the colored ones, the soft steel wire, where deer perpetually are knocking that stuff down, and it can be a problem. White seems to go a long way to minimizing some of those conflicts. All right, let's talk about reels, because you really do need reels to be efficient and effective and to take care of your wire. It's a place to store and transport your wire. There are many, many, many types of reels on the market. There are either non-geared reels or geared type reels. When we're talking geared type reels, it's just geared so that as you're winding wire, it's at a much rapid pace than a non-geared reel. So for efficiency's sake, for winding wire up, you can do it much faster with a geared reel. The size of the reel, the type of the reel you use totally depends on your application. It also depends on your personal preference. And the only way you're going to find out what you like with all this vast array of reels that are out there is go out and try some. If you can go to a field event, if you can go to another farm that's doing managed grazing, and just try a few of the reels and see what they're like. It's going to take some experimenting to find what fits you. It's kind of like finding a bicycle that fits you correctly, or a set of golf clubs. You just have to go try it and see what's going to work for you. One of the things I've seen people use if money is tight is with extension cord reels. It's a cheap way to go, and actually some of these are very ergonomically correct and easy to use. They're very comfortable to use. Their problem is they don't hold up to UV light very well, so you just have to recognize that, and every year you may have to transfer them to a new reel, but they can be very comfortable for some folks and work extremely well. Let's jump to posts. Real quick again with posts, temporary fence posts. There's a vast array of ones that are out there. The most common are going to be your multi-wire type step-in post. It has a step here to use your foot to poke it in the ground. There's various versions of step-in posts that are out there. Again, it's a matter of trying different things and seeing what works for you. A lot of people who are just running cattle use the pigtail type step-in post. That's kind of becoming an industry standard for grazers out here. These are a great product, work really well. One of the things to watch on these is the plastic over time, or the insulation over time will give out, and when these crack, you'll know it when you grab this. You'll receive a shock, and you'll know it's time to replace this. But these have other uses for in the garden or supporting water line or all sorts of other things. You may find uses for them. There are also just straight fiberglass posts that are out there. These are probably the cheapest ones that are out there. They're probably the least convenient to use. These do have application. I'll use something like this a lot for setting up semi-permanent lanes, like for example for doing bale grazing in the winter. I'll use these to set up lanes, and it'll be up. I'll set it up in the fall. It'll be up all winter. I won't move it. These come in various thicknesses. This is a 3/8 design. This is a 1/2 inch design. Not something most people are going to use in a portable grazing system, but a post like this can be very valuable in a bale grazing system. It can be driven in horizontally or at a slight angle into your next line of round bales, and then the wire attached to that. And instead of you fighting with frozen ground or deep snow, it's a way to control cattle where you want them to go, and it's a simple way to get those moved. There are larger fiberglass posts that are available. I find these extremely effective in portable energized fencing systems. They're also used in permanent applications, but I find these extremely important or useful in putting up temporary gates or corners where I need to. They're very durable, they're easy to put in and out, and they actually function much better than many of these other applications. You do have to carry a post pounder with you when you do that, but so many people are doing their portable fencing off of a four-wheeler or a side-by type quad, off-road type vehicle. It's not too hard to include that in your equipment. A lot of people, because they've got maybe a bunch of rebar around or some 3/8 inch steel posts around from way back when, they just feel they want to go buy a bag of insulators and use these as step-in posts. I know people who do that. They're good with that. They're heavy. You do need to carry a hammer to put them in. I'll actually use them myself in a bale grazing situation on frozen ground because I can actually drive them into frozen ground. So they do have some utility and option, but for day in and day out stuff, I either use the pigtail type option or the multi-wire step-in type option. We also need a means of attaching the terminal end of our wire to our perimeter fence. Tying it to the post usually isn't the best option because if the post is wet, you may be conducting some power through there and losing some voltage on your fence. It's pretty difficult when your fence is on to try and tie a knot and get it on there. So what most people use is a non-conductive type gate handle, and that's just attached. Most common knot would be something like 2 half hitches. If you know your knots, definitely a knot worth spending some time on and learning for portable fencing. You can attach it to the wire here and then run your reel out, and we'll look at some actual applications of that here a little later. Sometimes it's useful just to take an insulator, a donut type insulator, find a ubiquitous extra twine string laying around a farm, and you can just go around a couple times here like this, drop it through the loop on the other end, or tie it with a knot, and then that's a way to secure, another way to secure it to a post, and you may find application for something like that. Powering your temporary fence wire. If your perimeter is high tensile, energized setup, probably one of the slickest ways to energize that is with a pair of what are called jumper leads. So once you have strung your portable fencing, your polywire where you want it to be, you can use one of these jumper leads to make a connection from your energized perimeter wire to your poly wire, and now this is energized, and when you're ready to take it down, you just unhook it. It's a very simple way to do that and very effective, and these are not terribly expensive. So there are really two schools of thought on portable energized fencing. One is buy quality stuff and take care of it and get the most life out of it. The other is buy cheaper quality stuff, and at the end of the year chuck it in a dumpster, and the next year buy a new set and start over. And I think for most people, when they crunch the numbers, they're going to find that buying quality materials, taking care of them, putting them up where the rodents can't get to them in the winter, getting them out of the weather, keeping them on reels, they're going to find out their per year, per acre costs are going to be much lower than going the perceived cheaper route and throwing it away at the end of the year. The more user-friendly we make our portable fencing, the more efficient you're going to be in your operation, the more you're going to enjoy what you're doing out there. I've seen grazers in the past that have cobbled something together. It didn't work real well. They were frustrated with it, and they just threw their arms up in the air, threw everything away, and said managed grazing doesn't work. And we really don't want to see that happen. So it does pay to invest in quality stuff.